JLR investigates new bombshell information released by the roommate of Luigi Mangione. Luigi, the Unitedhealthcare shooter, his roommate, this guy here, his name is R.J. Martin. Oh, he has a lot to say, folks. He said that Luigi here couldn't have sex. He couldn't have sex because he got into a surfer's accident. I got a news clip I'm going to play, the interview. He shares a lot about Mr. Luigi here, a guy, a shady character that we've been covering on this channel. Check him out right here.
Looking forward to living in Hawaii and being healthy. He was excited about getting to know new people, experiencing new culture.
And did he, all right, so I know this was back in around 2022, so you're coming out of COVID. I'm curious, RJ, did you know where he was working remotely or why he had suddenly decided to decamp to Honolulu? Was there sort of any break in his life or anything that you ever became aware of?
No. It's very natural. Our members all have remote jobs, and Hawaii is one of those places that many people would love to live. So we provide kind of an all-inclusive living experience, so it makes it easy for them to move to the islands. Okay,
so I know you considered him, from your interactions with him, the time you spent together, as someone who would be a lifelong friend. What was he like when you knew him? And I know you shared some pictures with us as well. I mean, in terms of how social he was and the sort of interactions that he would have had with the other people in your co-living community.
He was a very thoughtful person, communicated really well, was friendly, had good relationships with everyone. He was even, in some ways, a bit of a leader. He helped spearhead a book club that we started just so we could, keep those intellectual pursuits alive from back when we were in school.
So you mentioned that he was into health. How did that manifest himself? And you mentioned you went hiking together, things like that. Can you tell us more about that? Why he cared about health? And I understand also that at one point you did become aware of some issues with his back.
Yeah, so when I first interviewed him before he moved in, I remember he said he had a back issue and he was hoping to get stronger in Hawaii. So he's always focused on trying. When he first came, he went on a surf lesson with other members, and unfortunately, just a basic surf lesson, he was in bed for about a week. We had to get a different bed for him that was more firm, and I know it was really traumatic and difficult. When you're in your early 20s and you can't, do some basic things, it can be really, really difficult.
Did he have any conversations with you then or even afterwards about that issue? And I mean, his back, how he hurt it? I mean, obviously anything to do with the insurance process of it?
I don't. The only thing he ever mentioned, he mentioned, I need to go back to see my doctor and then I'm going to have surgery. I encouraged him and brought him to yoga classes. He would do calisthenics on his own. I know he was really focused on being strong and healthy, but it also weighed on him that he knew that there was an impending surgery. So
did you, in the context of all the books that you were reading and the book club that he was leading, did you have conversations about any of the issues that, we now even see in the writings that he had on him when he was arrested? I mean, did he talk about, not even as maybe as specific as health insurance, but capitalism, anything of that nature?
I apologize. I haven't read any of the media that's happened. I heard about it when a reporter called me. So I'm not familiar with what his writings were, but I know we talked about social issues and we talked about how to improve the world. And we talked about, issues that are, say with capitalism or with the healthcare system or with housing or the food systems. It wasn't, anything specific. It wasn't like he had an axe to grind or he was even upset or angry about a particular issue. They were just natural intellectual conversations that you have when you're inquisitive.
So you stayed in touch with him. I know you spoke to him earlier this year, although I understand, RJ, that you tried to reach out to him multiple times even since then, but that he had not responded in those cases. Can you tell me about your last conversation with him?
Mostly just text messages. So I knew he was going to have a surgery. So earlier this year, I checked in with him. He confirmed that he had surgery and he sent me the x-rays. It looked heinous with just giant screws going into his spine. After that, he called me once. I didn't pick up. We kind of texted a little bit, but unfortunately, I feel terrible now. I wish, I would have made more of an effort to communicate with him.
Did you ever have any conversation with him where he brought up anything like guns or anything in that area?
Never once talked about guns, never once talked about violence. He was absolutely a not violent person, as far as I could tell. Yeah.
So RJ, in all of this, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
as you're just struggling to get your head around what happened here with someone, that you had considered would be a lifelong friend. And I know you've only had a few hours to even try to comprehend it. But just in these initial hours, do you have any idea why or how someone that you knew in the way you knew him could have done this?
Personally, I can make zero sense of it. There's never justification for violence. We live in a democratic system with processes and procedures to address, our issues. And I can make no sense of it.
Well, RJ, I appreciate your taking the time to share all this with us. I know you're in shock about what happened. So thank you for taking the time and trying to help everyone understand a little bit more here about this, what happened. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This is a bombshell report right here by the Daily Mail. Luigi Mangione was unable to have sex because of severe back injury, former roommate says. And this is Brian Thompson, shooting suspect Luigi Mangione suffered a back injury so severe he was unable to have sex, a former roommate said. R.J. Martin, the same individual you just heard in the CNN clip, lived with the murdered defendant for 6 months at a Hawaii co-living space and told the New York Times about 26-year-old Mangione's secret agony. He knew that dating and being physically intimate with his back condition wasn't possible, Martin told the Times. I remember him telling me that, and my heart just breaks. Explaining the injury that Mangione had suffered after a back condition called you know what I'm saying there, spondylolisthesis was worsened by a surfing accident. Martin said his spine was kind of misaligned. So he had spine issues, and according to the same guy there, R.J. Martin, he couldn't have sex. He couldn't have sex. Interesting stuff. Could that have been a motive here? Let me know what you think. Former roommate and friend speaks. So Luigi was living in some sort of group living out on the West Coast, Hawaii, like a collective group home. And he got in a surfer's accident, and a back injury. Could that have been a motivation here? Motive when it comes to this case about shooting Unitedhealthcare CEO Brian Thompson, insurance CEO. Was Mr. Luigi denied a claim or denied medical help for his back? Trying to get a motive here. There's a lot of theories and possibilities on why Mr. Luigi did this horrendous crime. He seems like, according to the roommate, talks, anti-capitalist, doesn't like capitalism. Could that have played a factor here? Police say that Mr. Luigi has not been speaking to them. So it's not clear, I believe, that they understand why he did this. Why do you think Luigi did this crime? What do you think about the roommate that just spoke? Any other roommates or any other people affiliated with him that come out on the record and share some insight about Luigi? You will hear it here on JLR Investigates. We are covering this case extensively around the clock to get an understanding, answers, and follow the judicial process through all the way up to sentencing for this guy right here. Sentencing. We'll talk soon. JLR Investigates. Stay safe.